So, in this episode, we're going to be talking about you, the CEO, and in particular, identity shift. We're going to be talking about who you really need to be to hit 100K months and beyond. Now, I always say that identity can be the ceiling to success. And this is true because I think back to times where I found scaling challenging. And again, when I look at clients and they've had difficulty maybe getting consistency and cash flow or moving to the next level. And when they come to work with me, it's like I can see these three areas: the confidence, the clarity around what they're doing, and also having the conviction behind what they're doing, and just being super aware of what it is that they want to get and why. Now, what happens is that we can feel very easily depositioned, and we can often look at what our perception is of reality, and this can be skewed. And what I mean here is that when we think about identity, identity is who you think people see you as. Now, here's the truth, because this is something that can hold you back for years, because you can't grow your business bigger than the identity that you actually hold of yourself. Now, let that land for a minute, because you could have the best funnels, you could have the best strategy and like an absolute dream team. But if deep down you still perhaps see yourself as maybe just getting by, or not the type of person who earns 100K months, then your subconscious will sabotage your success, because you will constantly find ways to keep yourself at this current level. Okay. We've all been there, right? We've all been there. And I think the magic is that when scaling starts, it starts in your mind before it ever, comes and shows up in your bank account. And if you are one of these people who scrolls online and you look at other people and we start judging where they are in their journey, and then evaluating where we are in our journey, then we start to get FOMO, and we start to think, we're not capable of doing what that person's done. They're further ahead than us. They are doing bigger and better things. We need to put our blinkers on, right? And cancel out the white noise, because we need to hone into our identity, and we need to be super aware of this hidden identity ceiling. Because if you have ever stalled in what you're doing, and I'm pretty sure every CEO and founder has, it's what's called an invisible identity ceiling. And this invisible line is basically something that you're unconsciously drawn above you, and you start to kind of hit your head on it. What happens is that maybe you're sitting at a particular financial level. Let's say you're at 10K months. And no matter what you try, it could be new offers, hiring, launches, you name it. You've tried everything. You just can't break through that ceiling. Now, I remember when I actually left college and didn't progress to university, my dad did say to me, I would hit a glass ceiling and a point where I couldn't get any further. Now, I'm thankful to say I broke through that ceiling because I was aware that my identity had to be that I was going to make it, and regardless of what other people thought, whether they felt I had to go to university, whether they felt I had to go and take another route, it didn't matter, because my identity that I was owning, I broke through that ceiling because I knew I could do it. So it's normally not the strategy that's the problem. It's this identity that we own. And your brain really works very hard every single day to protect this version that you know of yourself. And if you've always been at 10K months and, that's the CEO kind of mindset that you've got, then the moment that you start edging past that, then things start to get tricky, because your subconscious starts to sabotage your success. Now, if we reflect back, we're probably aware that this has happened numerous times to us. And because your subconscious is looking for this safety, it looks for ways to just keep bringing you back into that safe zone and to bring you away from that ceiling. So you start to lean into maybe procrastination or overcomplicating things, or you create drama in the business. Now, I cannot tell you how many times I see the drama in the business. It's often something that just you create as an issue outside of your control and outside of your business that kind of says, oh, well, that's why. It's almost like giving validation to why you're not going to that next level. I think if we're honest, we've all been at that stage at various times. And the key here is this awareness around your identity, because when we start to think about the quantum psychology aspect, which I'll explain in a second, this is where CEOs truly start to step into their power, because how do you break through that ceiling? Now, if you have done anything in the world of psychology, it's all around the idea of collapsing this gap between sort of where you are now and where you want to be. So if you think about who you are and who you want to be, you're almost like embodying this future version of yourself now and bringing it forward. So if you've ever heard of the term sort of quantum leaping, it's about stepping fast forward into time and embracing that now. So it's almost like you vision who you want to be seen as, who you want to show up as, and what you want to be known for and how you want to be known. And you almost take that sort of perception and make it your own new reality. So your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between something that is vividly imagined, like almost like playing a movie in your mind, to something that is real. And this is the key, because we can start to trick our brains. We start to rewire our subconscious and tell ourselves this new narrative. And this new truth becomes your reality, which means that you're training your brain to accept this new level. And it's already reality and happening in your brain before it actually is. So this catalyst is key for a CEO. And when we understand how our brains work, this is why I always talk about the fact that you can have the best strategy. I can use a proven strategy with 10 different people, but it might work for 3 and it would fail epically for 7. Why? Because of our whole makeup. We have grown up with different belief systems. We have got different narratives, success barriers, all of these different things. So that means that a strategy might not work for that personality type. It might not work because that person has experienced a certain type of trauma, or that person is using their own success barrier. It could be imposter syndrome, self-sabotage to keep themselves safe. Everyone's different. And this is why a strategy has to be bespoke. And this is why if you've done a program, and maybe a group program, and you've seen some people fly and you've gone, I've put all of my work, all my effort into this, and you just haven't recognized the same results, it's because the strategy doesn't work for your makeup. Your brain needs to be rewired differently. And this is the key, because I talk about neuroscience, I talk about psychodynamics, I talk about quantum psychology. These are all the key parts that are crucial factors in scaling strategy, because millionaire mindset and scaling strategy go together. Now, I bring principles like Japanese wisdom into my everyday, because a lot of these principles like ikage, like aligning to your true purpose, are things that are so crucial in a CEO's scaling journey. So if you think about, instead of saying to yourself, like, when I hit 100K months, I'll start doing X, Y, and Z, change this narrative. You know, what would the 100K month version of yourself be doing today? So how would she think? How would she be acting? What would she be doing? What would she be wearing? How would she be living? And how would she handle the problems and challenges in business today? How would she spend her time? What would she be doing? Would she be endlessly scrolling through social media getting FOMO? Probably not. So when your decisions and actions come from your future identity, you naturally start to align with strategies and opportunities that make those results inevitable. And this really is the key. Now, the next stage to this is all about daily embodiment. And these practices are really easy, but it's a bit like when we talk about small actions and the fact that the consistency really does start to build momentum and we start to get big results, because this isn't about wishful thinking. What we're talking about here is about rewiring your brain, but on a daily embodiment level. Now, these are some simple practices that I want to share with you, because these are things that honestly have been the biggest critical factors in the successes that I've had. I've scaled multiple businesses. I've worked with over 30,000 clients and generated over 45 million for their businesses. And as much as we talk about strategy and we talk about the actions that have to go with that, to achieve the revenues, to get the freedom, to bring the fun in, these practices are at the heart of it, because when a CEO is operating on full cylinders, optimal performance, this is when your health, wealth, and happiness starts to flow. And we start to get true alignment and we start to get balance, because the first one is about how you start your day. So my first one is the morning identity priming. So these are all really short. You take 5 minutes visualizing your next level, and this could be running your business, doing whatever you want to do, like running this movie in your head. And you are like living the team calls, you're checking your bank balance, you're actually visualizing every step from what the client wins look like, where you are, what you're standing, what you're doing, what you're wearing, even what you're smelling. Like, these are critical factors. The more vivid we can make it, the better. And what we're trying to do here is get it to literally feel as real as possible. Now, this for me is something I do every single day. Now, some people, talk about journaling and meditation. For me, above all else, that identity priming embodiment activity is the most crucial. Now, the second one is it's a decision checkpoint. Now, some of us are good at making decisions. Some of us are bad at making decisions. Some are somewhere in the middle, right? But it doesn't really matter, because before making a choice, I want you to ask yourself, what would my 100K month self say yes to? And would they say yes to this? Okay. So if the answer is no, you already know what to do. We don't even have to lean into making that decision. And I think this is a really interesting point, because I get so sad when I see people who have got this amazing expertise, but they are not creating the life and the freedom and the fun in their business that they absolutely deserve. Part of it is through stalling through decision. And part of it, yes, is owning your identity. And this last part really sort of sews all of them together. It's like this part of the trio is like the magic in the mix. It's like the sprinkle of fairy dust that changes everything, because micro moments of alignment. This is my third part of these practices. And throughout each day, I basically want to get yourself tuned into catching yourself if you start acting in your old identity and shift it into the new, because it's these micro moments that your self-image locks in, okay? Now, one of the things that I do, sounds a bit crazy, is that I get my clients to set 11 alarms in a day. Random times, it could be the same time, it doesn't matter. As long as there's 11 of them, when the alarm goes off, you must stand up and you must think, am I living in alignment with the identity of my future self? Am I living and doing and behaving as my future 100K month self? And if you're not, this is your checkpoint, okay? So when you embody the CEO who's already like there, you collapse time and you really reduce the length of time that it takes to get there. So scaling to 100K months isn't about doing more. We've established that. It's about becoming more. And what I love about this is that this journey is open to anyone who's open to it. If you move into this identity of your new self and you do these practices, it's open to everyone. And so many people say, oh, I could never do that. It's not for me. Oh, I'll never be at that point. I'd be happy here. If you really want it, you can have it. So you don't need to wait for permission. You really can start, driving results and arriving in your new version tomorrow. And this is really special because when we lead from this place and we start to really understand our future identity, then we start to see upgrades almost instantly in as little as 24 hours. And it's really hard to fail, once you start embodying it, because if you live it, it's almost like we are embodying that whole spirit. We're living it, we're knowing it. And it's impossible not to have the clarity and the conviction and the confidence around it when we are visioning it every day and we're doing these practices that's cementing it. Because what we're actually doing in our brain is creating a new neural pathway. We are making it stronger and stronger each day. So it's firing and firing and firing, and we're no longer living in our subconscious. We're now consciously activating and we're conditioning our mind for limitless success. So I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. I would love you to reach out and come and talk to me. Come and follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn or TikTok or wherever at Dawn McGrewer. But come and share with me a story and let me know, did you do the practices? Like, did they work? If you're watching this on a little social media post, leave a comment. Tell me what you thought about today's episode. So I'm going to leave you with one last takeaway. I want you to remember that this is all about combining high-level strategy with subconscious reprogramming. And this is the way that we can achieve results faster. So when you look at how some of the most inspiring leaders or the world's biggest business leaders are changing and making impact in the world and transformation, it's all to do with the fact that they've tuned into how to think and feel and scale like the 1%. So join me on the next episode for more tips on neuroscience, millionaire mindset, and scaling strategy.